Okay, we are here, guys. It's Monday. I hope you've had a good day and a good couple weeks. Appreciate my Cellercise family and all the support that you continue to give for us and for our Cellercise family. I want you to feel comfortable coming to this forum and sharing your experiences with everyone. That's what we're doing. We're encouraging people to look into Cellercise. If they have a medical condition, sure, they should consult with their doctor. But a great many doctors and therapists are joining us as well. And we're getting more and more of them all the time. And they're sharing their experiences as well. And for those who remember Melody's story a couple weeks ago, I've got permission now to share Melody's name and her story, and I don't know where that page went, but she has a website. It's not in here. She's doing very well and having remarkable results that's attracting a lot of attention. And I would love to share more about it. At this point, I'm not able to, but we will be able to, I think, shortly. Testimonial. A few months ago, when I saw my doctor, she told me I was diabetic. Not the news I wanted to hear, but I knew it was coming. She wanted to put me on medication right away, and I told her no, I would find a way to turn this around, knowing I only had a few months to accomplish this. It was hard work looking for the right answers to turn this thing around, and I prayed for the answers to help me. I was out of shape and overweight and weighed over 200 pounds. In researching, I came across the Cellerciser, did my due diligence, and decided to invest in it. Received it in May. I love my Cellerciser, and I would health bounce every day for 10 minutes, 2 and 3 times a day, and sometimes more. But I had more work to do on my diet, which was another challenge, along with not drinking enough water. It cut off part of it, but in the evening she told me I was no longer a diabetic. I'd lost 11 pounds, my blood pressure was down. She was amazed that I did it and told me to keep doing whatever I was doing and that I would see her in another 4 months. I love this journey and this group. That's why we share these customer reviews. It's making a difference. We've got a great website that I have that for some reason I'm not finding it right now, but it's called CellerciseDiabetesHelp.com. And it's all about the Cellerciser and what it's done to help a great many people. And we're looking to find out why that website itself is not up right now. Anything else?
We have questions.
Okay, well, let's answer some questions.
We have some questions. We thank everybody for sending those.
Thank you. And I wanted to ask all of you, you know, we all need exercise. We know it. Many times we know that we just don't have enough time to accomplish it, but we all need it. The advantage of Cellercise is that it treats the body collectively as a whole, not as parts. That's what makes it so effective. So as we're moving up and down, yes, we're creating a pumping action that's opening up circulatory channels, increasing oxygen blood flow to the brain and through all the capillaries, changing blood chemistry, stimulating the lymphatic system, and there's a great deal of different movements we can do. But while we're doing it, the advantage of Cellercise is the entire body is working collectively together as a whole, and that's why we encourage it. Those of us who Cellercise understand the value of Cellercise. And we have people that have been doing it for over 20, in my case, over 30 years. And the benefits, they don't leave. They'll always be with us. But we've got issues that we want to discuss, and we have people we want to work with. We want to encourage you again to share it with those you know who happen to have knee problems, hip problems, back problems, digestion, elimination problems, circulation, weight loss issues, health issues, migraines, headaches, sleep disorders, stress. There's so many different approaches that they can consider that the Cellerciser very well may help them with too.
All right.
All right.
Okay, here we go. So this gal is brand new, and her friend was very enthusiastic and recommended it, and her Cellerciser had arrived 2 days ago when she posted this. I'm taking it slow, 2 to 3 minute stints, 4 to 5 times a day, drinking lots of water. I definitely have bad knees, original equipment, too many just too many falls.
I can relate to that.
And I'm finding even a few minutes of the health bounce seem to irritate things. I know I have some arthritis, but the doc says just a little, and I eat a very non-inflammatory diet, whole plant food based. Any words of wisdom?
Absolutely. Knees are one of my specialty. I work on mine all the time because it seems I'm always destroying them, and they're all original. So the key again is to strengthen the supporting muscles and ligaments around the joint. And depending on the situation, you may need to see it and consult with a doctor. But there's so many times we've been able to avoid that by first targeting the supporting muscles and ligaments and increasing circulation. As we strengthen the support of the muscles and ligaments, the joint can retain more fluid. So just standing on the Cellercise or gently moving up and down, you're not putting much activity on the knee. The movement up and down is pumping with the calf muscles, lifting the heels up and down until we warm up the circulation. And we may feel that. If we have a weakness or a condition, the Cellercise is very helpful at helping to expose that. So once we feel that, then bend to the knee slightly, rock side to side. This gentle rocking side to side works the lateral knee, the hips. This is the second movement after the gentle movement up and down. Very good on the knees. This one here, just the Jambo walk to begin with, the Jambo run ultimately. Those are muscle building, targeting, strengthening, increasing circulation. The movement up and down is gentle, so it can help reduce inflammation to those muscles.
Okay, and this question kind of goes in conjunction with that just a little bit. So now they're thinking that it might be a good time to take a break from the computer every hour or so and just do a couple minutes. But I'm wondering if that might be counterproductive for any reason. I can't think of why, just wondering. Also, I've always had a, quote, belly, even when I was just 104 pounds, maybe decades ago, she says. But just heard on one of your morning talks about a guy who had some sort of issue where his internal organs were sagging, and by focusing on holding his tummy in and up while Cellercising, he was able to change that. I'll focus on that while bouncing, but do you have anything about Cellercising frequently?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, watch what happens in the near future, because I predict, if it hasn't happened already, that more and more businesses are going to realize the importance of taking a break on a regular, even hourly basis, so that we don't build up the stress, tension, sticky blood cells in our body. And we're not designed to sit in an office desk all day long. We're not designed that way. And when we do that, that is a serious concern for ongoing health issues that we're going to start exposing because of it. It's been said that sitting for long periods of time, day after day, is one of the biggest health hazards that we have in our nation right now. And I believe that. And so here, even at the office, I suggest everybody, every hour, get on the Cellerciser for a couple minutes. And even if you're on the phone or on Facebook Live, you can gently move up and down for a couple minutes to help maintain good circulation, good lymphatic flow, and balance within the body. When we sit for long periods of time, capillaries, the circulation starts to shrink. And as it shrinks, our body parts and functions can become compromised. So again, that movement up and down just keeps the body active, which is what we need to do.
And this second question goes along kind of with it. And reiterating what you're saying, I went to a training for our wellness program for my company, or the college that I worked for. And they did say that sitting is the new smoking.
There you go.
And that's what they're like, what can we do to get people out of their chairs? So this little gal says, I was thinking, when I sit at my desk at work, I cross my legs and swing my leg. That should affect the lymphatic system, should it not?
Not very effectively.
No.
Here's the reason why. When you cross and you actually restrict circulation, you put leverage or weight on that particular area of the body. So it's a nice thought, but because you also have pressure, you're cutting off circulation too. So that actual pumping action could cause blood vessels to have more pressure on them, which could lead to more varicose type viscosity issues in the actual legs themselves. So again, if you do that, you know, that's fine, but it doesn't take the place of releasing that stress, opening up that circulation several times a day if you're able to. I really believe every single company in the country should have a Cellerciser somewhere in their office, because their employees are going to feel better, and when they feel better, they perform better. They don't have the stress or tension. It opens up that circulation, and we want to be healthier. We want to be able to perform at a higher level, and Cellercise stimulates so much brain activity that sedentary lifestyles do not, that it really becomes something that companies need to look into.
Okay, so this one says, am I remembering this correctly, that we can work out every day on the Cellerciser without taking a rest day or worrying about recovery?
Yeah, and the way I like to answer that is Cellercise simply enhances normal body functions. So the pumping action, it makes it easier on the heart because you're pumping with the heart. It back flushes valves, it opens up circulation, stimulates the thyroid, the adrenals, the endocrine system. Everything is gently being massaged. You're weightless, weight over 100 times a minute. So, but you're not tearing down. And that's the difference between Cellercise and typical exercise. Cellercise is convenient, it's easy, it's fun. I tell people, don't work at it, play at it, play on it. Let it work on you, and it does. But yeah, you can do it every day, several times a day if you want.
Okay. I am currently under PT for lower back pain. My therapist is having me do bridge plus block between knee repetitions to strengthen the gluteal muscles. Can you think of a clever Cellercise alternative? And it was crazy that another person is going under the same physical therapy themselves, and just curious if they can suggest something to their PT.
Yeah, well, the loosening up of the vertebral joints is this one here, because this drops the hips down into the mat. And it looks weird, but this is what dogs do when they get on their back and they move around. So it helps with the vertebral joints, increase the circulation, release the stress and the tension, and I think that's excellent. This is another very good one, movement right here. And then strengthening the muscles that support the vertebral joints. That, again, talk to your therapist about it, but that's the one where you lean forward, and I'll do it this way, and just kick your legs out behind you. And as you get stronger, your legs will get, longer, and you'll lift up more from the lower back area. But those movements could be very, very helpful. And then the stretching movements that I teach, especially for the lower back, S1 and further down. If you take the elbow, stick it up over your head, and just lean a little bit to the left and let that leg cross in front. If you have an issue down there, you'll feel that. And it's a wonderful stretch movement. And then this one here, do the same thing. And over time, our objective, open up the vertebral joints, pump up and down, do the movements, increase circulation to the disc so that we can take pressure off the nerves.
Okay. When we do the more intense movements like the Jambo run, would that be considered high intensity interval training? Maybe it depends on how much intensity we put into each movement, so maybe help them understand what that is.
Yeah, the Jambo run is high intensity, and if you do it several times, then it becomes intervals. And as you do it several times, and I've talked about this, you increase your metabolic process. Your metabolism goes up. It takes time to come back down. So if you do the Jambo run several times during the day, you're going to have a higher metabolic response. In addition to that, if you do repetitions of it for a longer period of time as a block, then you're going to be eating up the glucose and the sugars very quickly, and then going after the stored fat or white adipose tissue. So it's, again, that's the Jambo runs done just by spreading the feet apart, keeping your back straight. That's key. People want to lean forward. We don't do that. Keep our back straight, feet flat, and then just run in place, pushing down into the mat. And it's a great activity. You'll feel that. Most people will feel it in as little as 20 seconds, and if you want to go longer, you can.
Okay. Let's see. Can you revisit or talk about the Salsa muscle topic briefly? It can be crippling if it's not taken care of, which can cause scoliosis. Scoliosis, and this is what happened to this gal. So do you have any comments on the Salsa muscle?
Yeah, again, there are other procedures, working with a chiropractor or a good physical therapist. They got to be careful reaching into that muscle because it's pretty deep. Techniques that I do that I believe help with that are just what I showed you. Standing on the Cellerciser and lifting your shoulders up and down, you're going to take those muscles. In fact, you can actually, when you lift the leg and come up, you're going to feel muscles stretching. So this is something you can control. The gentle movement, side to side, that's also helpful. Those are the two movements that the Cellerciser can help to address that area, those muscles.
Okay. So I've had your trampoline for a long time, and I'm 6'4" and weigh 129 kilograms. I used to be a fat kid, is kind of what he said. And then I grew, but I have a lot of fat around the trunk area, especially my thighs and legs, and I have inflamed ankles from episodes with blood clots. I can relate to that. What can I do to get motivated, and which exercises will help with my legs? Thank
you. I love that question. Motivation. You know, we all need to stay motivated. And what motivates you today may not necessarily motivate you next week or 2 or 3 weeks from now. And the key to Cellercise is to be consistent. It's just like a dietary lifestyle change. If you change your diet and you're eating healthier, you want to, it's not for a short period of time. It's something you adopt that you do on a regular basis. And it's the same thing with Cellercise. Once those of us understand what Cellercise does, that in and of itself can be motivating. How it changes blood chemistry, how it stimulates and activates the lymphatic system, how it helps to get rid of the puffiness around the eyes in the morning when you move up and down. So whether it's for vanity reasons or for health reasons, whatever motivates you, you want to find out what that is. For me, when I began, I stuck the Cellerciser in between my bedroom and the living room. I had no option but to get on it or step over it when I was getting started, because I did not want to forget. I wanted to develop a habit of doing this Cellercise because I knew how important it was for me and my personal health. And so that's exactly what I did. I found a way to motivate myself by putting it in a way that I had to address it. I couldn't just ignore it. I caution you, though, if you do that and you leave it there at nighttime, and I know this several times, is when you're walking from the bedroom into the living room, if you forgot that it's there, you're going to hit yourself right about there in the shin, and you'll have a nice little mark. And I had lots of those for a while. But it was worth it to me because I would get on the Cellerciser. If you have a hard time sleeping at night, I'd get on the Cellerciser. I mean, that became an integral part of my life because I knew, and the more I learned about it, the more I knew how important it was for me to be healthier and stronger and to perform better.
So what exercises would be good for his legs, where he's been dealing with that inflammation in his legs?
Absolutely. Lowest, and we've talked about this many times, but the weakest area of circulation in the body is in the lower extremities. It's the furthest area from the heart. So by standing on the Cellerciser and just gently bouncing up and down, we help to move fluid through the one-way valves back up toward the heart, making it easier on the heart to pump that circulation because the Cellerciser acts like a pump. And as it's moving that circulation from the lower extremities, it can help reduce the edema, the swelling, varicosity, and it's also known to break down blood clots. So if you have a condition like that, it is important to work with your doctor so your doctor understands. The Cellerciser helps to dissolve and break up blood clots, which under doctor supervision can be wonderful. You don't want to do something too strenuous and break up a blood clot that can be very life-threatening either. So you want to start off easy. And we want to avoid having blood clots. So moving up and down on a Cellerciser regularly keeps the blood cells separated, oxygenated, and energized so they're not as sticky. And when blood cells get sticky and they can clot, they can create other problems. So we want to keep those blood cells oxygenated and moving up and down. And I've talked about this because, and again, I don't want, for those of you who've heard me talk about this before, when I was doing my business plan and they asked me, David, who's your target audience? And I said, people. And they all laughed and they said, no, you need to target your audience. And I looked back at them and I said, no, you need to broaden yours because everybody needs it. They just don't know it yet. But when you look at blood cells in the morning with most people today in our culture, especially that we've looked at, the blood cells have been sticky. And when they're sticky, especially in the morning when you wake up, they're not circulating well. And the blood cells toward the center of the sticky blood cells actually lose circulation. They get, instead of round and imbibed with fluid, they become more soft and vulnerable as well. And you get on a Cellerciser 3 to 5 minutes and you move up and down, the blood cells over 100 times a minute are expanding and contracting. And they start to increase circulation through the cell membrane, imbibing them with more fluid, generating a field of energy because they're positively and negatively charged like a battery. They have a sodium-potassium pump and they generate this field of energy that separates them from each other. The blood's in a totally different state. Now you're moving them down on a Cellerciser, taking individual blood cells and moving them back through the capillaries, opening up capillaries, increasing oxygen blood flow to the brain and other body parts and functions. So no, I don't think it's optional. I honestly believe everybody, every home needs a Cellerciser. They just don't know it yet, and that's my job.
Okay. In your demonstrations, you have people put their hands on a particular muscle to feel it contract.
Yeah.
I want to know if by applying pressure to a particular muscle will cause it to work harder.
Yeah.
For example, putting your hand on your abdominal muscles.
Well, it's not putting your hand on it that's going to cause it to make a difference. It's tightening it and then leveraging weight to it. So if you tighten your stomach muscles while you're bouncing, you're going to get faster results because you have an isometric at the same time as you have the isotonic working. If you are jogging in place, lifting your knees up higher, you're going to be, and tightening those muscles, it's going to work those muscles more. If you are tightening those muscles and you leverage by tilting slightly, you've just increased more weight to those muscles. If you want even more, then you're kicking your legs out in front of you, tilting back a little bit, and that is a lot more weight. And so we can leverage body weight, even though the rest of the body is still working, and focus it on certain areas of the body by creating more resistance. And when we create more resistance and then add more weight, then we're going to get faster results. And that's why we do the arm exercises, the chest, the back. We leverage body weight. That's one of the things Cellercise has a major advantage over typical exercises, is that when we alter the angle of our body in different positions, we grow stronger in this position, which gives us a competitive advantage over most people because they're never really strengthening their body in altered positions. So for athletic performance, it's a secret weapon, and people are beginning to realize it now. They get stronger in these altered positions, it's easier for them to perform.
All right. So what does a 2-pound handbell weigh when using it on the Cellerciser? It definitely feels heavier when I use it on the Cellerciser versus just holding it in my hands when I'm not.
It most definitely is, and be careful. You running with a 2-pound weight is not 2 pounds when you're bouncing with it or when you're leveraging it out. And so muscles grow stronger faster than the ligaments and the tendons. And so people have a tendency to lift 2-pound weights and, oh, this is, I'm going to go to a 5-pound weight. And then they're doing a 5-pound weight. Oh, I can do this. And they go heavier, 8 pounds weight. The problem with that is ligaments and tendons can get damaged. And you may not even know it initially. But in the back, in the scapula area, you're running with those weights. Those muscles can be, and ligaments, tendons can become very tight. And then when you go and you try to do something, you end up having to go through several months of therapy to have to loosen those ligaments and tendons and muscles up again. So running with that kind of thing on a Cellerciser, remember it's weight bearing. So you're right, a 2-pound weight can be a lot more than 2 pounds when you're running with it. So be careful.
Okay. Is running on the Cellerciser for 20 minutes a good workout without doing anything else?
Sure.
Okay. So
yeah.
they're totally fine. Okay.
They did a study at the NASA, I believe it was NASA Ames Research Center, where they showed that basically at equivalent levels of oxygen uptake, Cellercising and trampolining was over twice as efficient as treadmill running. But that was just a small comparison because there's a lot you can do on a Cellerciser you cannot possibly do on a treadmill. So running in place on the Cellerciser, the hips are dropping into the mat more to loosen the lower lumbar. You can't alter your angle like this on a treadmill without potentially really hurting your back. It's not designed the same. Nothing wrong with them. I mean, if you like them, do them. The Cellerciser, I just believe, honestly, has got a lot more advantages.
Okay, this is our last question.
Okay.
I've been Cellercising for 6 months. I love the firmness I have now, but I'm struggling with losing inches, however. What are the best exercises I could do to get rid of some of these inches?
Okay, Jambo run, because that's going to increase metabolism and it's going to burn up the sugars, the glucose, the most readily available energy sources first. And if you keep doing repetitions of the Jambo run, the body's going to have to look for more fuel, and it will find it. And it will start to look for the white adipose tissue, the fat that we've stored. So that's the best way I can say of really burning more of that weight is you create a greater demand on the big muscles for more fuel. And then the body looks for the fuel. It'll go after the most readily available energy source first. And that's going to be the glucose and sugars in our bloodstream. When those have been depleted and we continue to do repetitions or challenge the body, well, now it needs to go after, it needs to find more fuel. So it goes after the second most readily available source. And that's going to be the fat that we've stored.
All right.
Good.
So that's the end of our questions.
Okay. Are there any questions up here that you
I haven't
want?
seen, but let me see if I can sneak in from the side and see if I can see some, since we don't.
And for those of you who've been doing it with your animals, keep sending in the pictures. I think that's fun. So neat. Yeah, they are fun.
Okay, what would be good exercise for heel spurs?
Yeah, there's not a lot of good exercises for heel spurs. Heel spurs, you might want to check your calcium intake, make sure you're getting enough good calcium, because often what happens is the body becomes acidic and it's trying to neutralize the acidity, and so it breaks the calcium or the minerals from the bones itself, and then the body can't really absorb that effectively, and so you end up with bone spurs that can occur and be more prevalent because of diet. But again, just gently moving side to side. You may have to get some soft-soled slippers or something to actually help reduce. It can take time to get rid of heel spurs or bone spurs. And sometimes it necessitates operating. But the movement up and down is constantly massaging to loosen, to soften. and hopefully reabsorb. And we've had cases where that's happened, those bone spurs.
All right, do you think using toe shoes to jump in are okay? They are
sure.
comfortable for me, but I just wanted to hear it from you.
Absolutely. Yeah, we thought about carrying them, but have to get all the different sizes. Maybe we'll see. But yeah, you bet.
Okay, we already talked about that. Okay, I think. Okay.
Okay.
That's it.
When you go to bed tonight, get on that Cellerciser, and before you go to sleep, just relax your shoulders, back, arms, buttocks. Try this just for 2 to 3 minutes. Just don't fall over, but just gently relax the whole body. Get in tune with your body as you become like Jello. And then do that for a few minutes and then go directly to bed. And then let us know how well you sleep. Thank you very much. Have a great week. I look forward to sharing with you again next week.